So, I want to talk about that dust-up between Thunderf00t and Davan Molini that happened a little while ago. Some of you might be wondering who this Davan Molini is. Allow me to give you some background information. Davan Molini is a rather popular and influential red pill philosopher. Hailing from Canada, he has been a prominent, erudite, and articulate contributor to the manosphere for a number of years. He's an author, a blogger, and he runs a regular podcast. His YouTube channel has over 10,000 subscribers. He's a big fan and supporter of Karen Strong, and much like Karen Strong, he likes to contradict and blaspheme against the foundational myths of feminism. He can be very harsh and aggressive with his tone and with his rhetoric, but he prefers to attack general ideas as opposed to specific people. While at university, he studied history extensively, and generally his views could be described as libertarian, right-leaning, and pro-Western civilization. He has advice for just about everyone on just about everything. He advises his audience not to trust authority and not to follow a charismatic leader. And yet he cultivates and projects an image of himself as that of an authoritative and charismatic leader. He is both an iconoclast and a preacher. He predicts the decline of Western civilization, but he doesn't want his prediction to come true. He's extremely passionate and skilled in the art of argument and persuasion, and he's conscientious and thorough in the way that he anticipates and preemptively addresses all of the strongest counterarguments that might arise. He always sees both sides of an argument, and he loves to argue. He could easily spend weeks on end just elaborating on his views in the domain of philosophy or psychology. And he could probably argue about economics, politics, and ethics endlessly. He is somewhat despised by the MGTOW 2.0 mob because he clearly supports the nuclear family, and he cares very deeply about the future of Western civilization. In other words, he's pro-traditionalism. His astrological sign is Libra, and as a typical Libra, he's prone to idealism and an obsession with the pursuit of ideals such as truth, justice, beauty, and balance. He has very high standards, and he's highly empathic, compassionate, judgmental, gentle, elegant, and masochistic. But as feminine as he is, he's not the fruitcake that some mistake him for. Calm, composed, and rational as he may be, he deliberately dials up the drama every so often just to keep your attention. And when he does this, he often makes statements that are shocking, grandiose, or barely comprehensible. His is the antithesis of the postmodern ethos, as he presents his ideas in a very lucid, bold, and confident manner. In his relentless quest for the truth, he never fails to apply both his logical and his intuitive faculties to their full extent. He loves to produce lengthy reviews of movies with an eye for the subtle moral and ideological messages that permeate an otherwise innocuous-looking form of entertainment. He is thoroughly disgusted with popular culture, and rather than to mask his contempt for it, he exaggerates his contempt for it. Ever the cultural critic, he's both highly critical and highly self-critical, but he's also uncomfortable with being on the receiving end of criticism from others. He holds a strong opinion on almost everything, but yet he maintains a spirit of curiosity and open-mindedness. He has become convinced that he has the ability to detect and diagnose such things as personality disorders and a history of child abuse with barely anything more than a hunch to go on. I've spoken to him before and argued with him and found him to be very friendly, mature, thoughtful, and reasonable. He is eager to please, but somewhat unpractical, and so he's easily tempted into passive aggression and procrastination, which can cause stress in his working relationships. He has honed and refined his ideas down to an intricate and comprehensive ideology. He can tell you exactly why he holds every belief that he has. Disagreeing with him proves very difficult because the first hurdle that you must overcome is understanding what he's actually saying. And if you don't understand what he's saying, then how can you possibly disagree with it? The fact that his critics don't quite understand what he's saying most of the time doesn't really stop them from trying to criticize him, however. Thunderf00t, also known as Phil Mason, thinks that he's a con artist, a moron, and an extremist. And he's not alone. He has many critics. Thunderf00t made a few videos about him in which he quote-mined him in order to make him look like a con artist and a crackpot. Thunderf00t appears to hate him with a passion and will go to extreme lengths to portray him in as negative a light as possible. Maybe it's that compulsive smile of his that makes some people wary of seduction. Maybe it's that smooth, know-it-all facade that he projects that causes some people to want to see his credentials. Maybe it's that paranoid, contrarian, anti-establishment, schizoid bias of his that makes some people question his sanity. It's ironic, as skilled as he is with the art of diplomacy and persuasion, this ultimately doesn't prevent him from inspiring such passionate and determined enemies. Enemies like Thunderf00t. Thunderf00t is basically an assassin. He claims to be attacking feminism or creationism, but this is really just a smokescreen that he uses as an excuse to character assassinate specific people who he dislikes. He's an assassin. He thinks that the worse he makes a particular person look, the better that makes him look. And when Davan Molini was implicated in the humiliation of his personal friend Jordana Kasparowen, Thunderf00t took that as an excuse to saddle up and white knight for his dear friend. Thunderf00t's reputation is not really based on the strength of his own ideas. Instead, his reputation is based on the number of kills that he racks up, and to a large extent, he is famous for just being famous. His fans don't seem to care that he uses cheap and dishonest tactics, or that he chooses easy targets. It's easy to overlook this because he is often attacking the right people, even if not for the right reasons or with the right means. Thunderf00t can get away with plenty of fallacious reasoning and sophistry on his YouTube channel, because he doesn't actually have any reputation as a philosopher or an intellectual to worry about. But he does have a job to worry about. Recently, social justice warriors contacted Thunderf00t's employer to report his alleged Holocaust denial. Why? What did he say? He said that Hitler never killed a single person, and he also allegedly argued that the Holocaust was beneficial to the world, all things considered. So, which is it, Thunderf00t? Either the Holocaust didn't happen, or it was a good thing. Why can't you make up your mind? Don't you see the contradiction there? Oh, that's right. That's not a fair representation of what you said or what you actually meant. I mean, any idiot can see that stating the simple truth that Hitler did not kill anyone, meaning that he did not directly kill anyone himself, just as Charles Manson didn't kill anyone directly, shouldn't be a problem. It's just a boring, banal fact. When people who have passionate, committed enemies say things like that, then one of their enemies may be tempted to take that out of context and use it against them. And you can't always count on being granted the benefit of the doubt. No one should be offended by Thunderf00t's suggestion that 50 million dead people is still much better than 2 billion dead people. But when you use that argument to arrive at the conclusion that World War II, including the Holocaust, was arguably a beneficial thing overall, then it is very easy to spin that and make it look like you have some antipathy towards Jews. And how many times has Thunderf00t been labeled as a misogynist or accused of misogyny? My guess would be that he has taken a lot of flack for being a so-called misogynist. I'll bet that in Thunderfoot's world, painting someone as a Holocaust denier or as a misogynist, even when you know better, is totally kosher. It's just a cynical and convenient way to hurt or scapegoat someone that you already don't like. And nothing more than that. Or perhaps it is Thunderfoot's way of proving to all those doubters that he's not really a Holocaust denier and not really a misogynist, through denouncing and accusing someone else just to show that he's one of the good guys. That's just my thoughts.